open sea window. And if you haven't figured it out yet, you are in the location of our 11 o'clock feeding program for our open sea animals. So today, let's all just take a moment and look at this space. Because besides the animals, do we see anything else in here? Do we see any seafloor, kelp, forest, coral reefs, rocks, and feel free to shake your head, yes or no, or shout it out. What do you think? No, right? And that is completely intentional because all of these animals live in a habitat that looks just like this. So this is the old lake woodsea, just as those beta monitors are showing you, stretching out to just be miles of never-ending ocean. Because the open sea is the largest living habitat in the entire world. And so it's very difficult for us as an aquarium to be able to showcase something that big. And so this is our largest exhibit, our whopping 1.2 million gallons of ocean seawater. And if that's just a big number to you, I'm going to put this a couple of other ways. If you were to take all the water from our other exhibits and pour it all into this one, it still would not reach the top. And just for fun, if you had an extra 44 school buses lying around, you can fit them all in here. That's right, folks. So I know how big school bus is. We're sitting in front of this exhibit right now, but I'm going to show you what the top of it looks like, because that's where that feeding action is going to happen. So taking a look at the video monitors, I'm going to show you a short clip of what it looks like. Kind of like a large Olympic swimming pool, complete with a catwalk. Well, it also comes complete with a fully functional kitchen, where right now our animal care staff are putting the final touches on the menus for today's feeding. As much as I would love to take you all up there, it would be a pretty tight squeeze with all of us. So instead, I've arranged the next best thing. Standing by topside in this exact spot is my good friend and co-worker, Ariana, and she is going to give us a play-by-play reporter style of what's going on for today's feeding. So let's go ahead and tune in with her. All right, hey Ari, how's it going up there?
Well, good morning, Becca. Good morning, everybody. I'm doing just fine up here. How's everybody doing down there? Can you hear me all right?
All right, folks. One more time. If we can hear Ari, let's give her a big warm good morning. Good morning. That was beautiful. It was just for me, though, because she can't actually see her viewers right now where she is. But I thought that counts. Isn't that right, Ari?
Of course. I can't see or hear anybody, but don't worry. I'm feeling the energy and I'm feeling the love.
Awesome. That's exactly what we were going for. And I guarantee you have a bunch of new friends and fans down here. So would you mind telling us what's going to happen for today's feeding?
Yeah, so since today is Sunday, we do have a lot of mouths to feed today. So right now on the catwalk behind me, I have a couple of my friends from our animal care team, and what they're going to be doing is a series of broadcast feedings. That means they're going to be tossing food into the water, and whoever's feeling hungry will go ahead and come up for a bite to eat. But we're going to do it in two separate rounds. Round one is going to be for the bigger fish on exhibit, like our yellowfin tuna and our dolphin fish, and their diet will consist of a combination of chocolate big fish as well as some California market square.
Yummy. Well, that sounds delicious. But I have to ask, there's a lot of animals in here, so is anyone else getting this?
Yeah, so I did mention that we are going to be doing two rounds. So round two is actually going to be for the 10,000 hungry mouths of our Pacific sardines. Now, they might be a little shy this morning. They may be hanging out at the bottom of the exhibit, so hopefully they will be brave enough to join us up at the main window. But they're also going to be via that broadcast feeding style, and on their menu is going to be a combination of fish pellets, so pretty similar to the fish we do with your home aquarium, as well as some krill, that tiny little shrimp-like crustacean.
Awesome. Well, that all sounds great. And folks, just like Ari said, we do actually have around 10,000 sardines in here. This exhibit is so large it spans 2 floors of the aquarium, so they're probably just right beneath us right now. All right, well, I don't want to keep these fish too much longer from their breakfast, so I hear you know the secret signal to give to those two behind you to kick things off. Would you mind sharing it with us today?
Yeah, of course. My friends and I have been cultivating this signal for years, and we have finally perfected it after so much time. But again, it is top secret, so don't tell anybody.
All right, we won't. Wow, I can tell you, you've been cultivating that one for years. Super secret. All right, we will take it from here, Ari. Thank you so much for your time. All right, now, just as Ari said, with that secret signal, we've got that first course hitting the water. And so this is for those 2 large big fish that you're seeing up front. We've got some California market squid coming into the water first. seafood right now. I often joke around that these animals have a better diet than I do, and that is 100% true. It's not even these first two large fish first, starting with our dolphin fish. They're the ones with those square-shaped foreheads and those sails on their backs. Fish, remember? But they got that name from fishermen who thought that their large foreheads looked like that of a dolphin. But you might know them better by their seafood name, which is mahi-mahi. And you'll happen to know that here in the U.S., mahi-mahi fished here in U.S. waters is actually a really sustainable seafood choice. They reproduce early in life as young as 5 months old and abundantly. So they've got a healthy, strong population here in the United States waters. We'll talk more about sustainable seafood later. I want to introduce you to their third name, their Spanish name, Dorado, which a lot of you might not know. That means golden because mahi-mahi, they have the ability to change colors. They have special cells on their skins called chromatophores, which allows them to change into brilliant hues of blues, greens, and golds. They often compare them to underwater moon rings because we can see them change once the blood starts flowing, once they're hunting something, or if they're really trying to understand. Sometimes we can see them change colors from our side of the exhibit. So keep your eye out because you never know what's going to happen in here. All right, so there you go. The fish so nice they named it thrice. They're not the only exciting big fish in here, though. I cannot forget about our tuna. Specifically, we've got some yellowfin tuna in here, and they have a football or a torpedo-shaped body, and they're one of the ocean's largest, fastest predators. They can reach speeds of 30 miles per hour, and to help them do that, they can actually retract some of those yellow fins into their body, which will reduce drag and help them pick up speed. And I'm going to point this out to you because we can see them doing this right now on exhibit. So if you look at those dorsal fins that they have, those are the ones on top of their body. The one furthest forward to their face, that's the one that they're pulling into their body. They're retracting it anytime they need to maneuver inside this exhibit. So you can see it happening. All right, so once they finish up that squid, then they're going to be getting some tasty chopped baked fish. That is their second course. And I'm going to tell you what chopped baked fish is. And the second I tell you, you're also going to understand why our sardines are so shy right now. Because chopped baked fish is actually chopped sardines. That's right. So parents, okay, I've explained the circle of life to your kiddos. Now might be a good time. So you might be wondering, well, if these big fish naturally eat sardines out in the wild, then how do we keep the big fish from eating the small fish inside this exhibit? Well, that goes along with the order in which we feed them. So we feed the big fish first, always, because that keeps them filled to the gills, so they don't really have the desire to chase after the energetic living thing in here. They're getting fed on a pretty regular schedule, and they're really not like your dog at home, which stays hungry all the time. They can really regulate their diet. So believe it or not, these big fish will only eat about every other day. But occasionally, for some of our larger mahi-mahi or tuna, we might get some overachievers who are still hungry and will chase after some of these sardines. So also keep your eye out for that. So what we like to say here at the aquarium is not no predation, but low predation. All right, so our sardines are feeling brave today. You may have noticed that before we even started the feeding, that some things were hitting the water, so that might have been the fish pellets. Sometimes we will feed them out a little bit early because they will drift down like a trail of breadcrumbs, helping to coax those sardines out of hiding. Hopefully they'll be brave enough to show themselves front and center today. We really never know, but maybe we'll see some fish fireworks. So I do want to talk to you a little bit about what these sardines are doing when they're doing the schooling action, because we can kind of start seeing them giving us an insight. It looks like they're thinking about coming up. So those sardines, when they are schooling, they're actually doing a defense mechanism. So they're using that to defend themselves from larger predators. They're looking larger and being confusing because these larger animals in here are tuna and our mahi-mahi. They are visual predators. So believe it or not, if they did want to hunt one of the sardines in here, they would have to pick a single sardine from the school and follow it before they were able to gobble it up. And that just goes to show kids in the audience advice that you should stay in school, otherwise you might get eaten by a hungry tuna. I'm just joking. Alright, if you don't believe me that this is an effective defense mechanism, I'm going to pause for a moment. It's just so wonderful to watch. Alright, but remember folks, keep those flash settings turned on your cell phones, please. Alright, this is really what I was hoping we would all see today. I can tell though some of you in the audience are crossing your fingers, crossing your toes, because now we're able to see those fish fireworks. So again, this is a defense mechanism. And if you're wondering how they're able to do that, because they almost look like a synchronized machine, right? So how are they even able to do that? Well, I'm going to give you the answer. So if you're wondering who the leader is, well, there's no one leader in this big school of sardines. It's actually almost like every sardine is a leader in its own right. They have special sensory organs on their body that allows them to detect pressure and vibration changes in the water. And so if the fish next to them moves to the left or to the right, then they know they need to do the same. That's how they're able to be so synchronized. All right, so I have a feeling they might potentially come back up for us. But in the meantime, while we're waiting to see if they come back up, I feel like I can't really talk about sardines without also talking about the very street that we're all sitting and standing on right now. So show of hands, how many people are visiting Monterey, not from here originally? That's a lot of hands. Welcome everyone to the area. So, if you didn't know this, Monterey is the sardine capital of the world. We were known when this place was first settled for our fishing industry, specifically of sardines, because we had so many. We were booming in this industry. And so that's why this street is named Cannery Row, because all the shops and restaurants here, before they were shops and restaurants, they were sardine canneries. And so it's actually really impressive that we have sardines to be able to display at our aquarium, because back in the day, whoa, they are being amazing right now. I'm going to pause this so we can watch this actually. That's beautiful.
Wow.
So I'm going to change gears here now that they're front and center, because they're stealing the show. I have to point out these sardines. So remember earlier, I mentioned this is a defense mechanism, and this is to prevent them from getting eaten by visual predators. So I want us all to play a little game, because out in the wild, these sardines, they can live into their 20s. That's how effective this defense mechanism is. So a lot of people don't believe me when I say that. So let's, everyone in the audience, let's pretend that we're a hungry tuna, and now that they're up front and center, let's pick a single sardine and just follow it for 5 seconds. See if you can hang on to your sardine. Okay, ready? I'm gonna start counting. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay, raise your hand if you still have your sardine. Those who raised your hand, look at me. Now look back. Where's your sardine now? That just goes to show you can't get distracted for even a second. Otherwise, you might be eaten by one of these hungry tunas here. Alright, so I know earlier that Ari mentioned we've got 10,000 sardines in here, so a lot of people ask, how do we know that? How do you know there's 10,000 sardines in here? We actually have an intern that comes in every morning and counts them one by one. No, that would be so mean. We have 2 interns, so it cuts the time in half. But no, that's an approximation, folks. So at any given point, we can have between 5 to 15,000 sardines in here, depending on when we can source them. So going back to what I was talking about earlier, Cannery Row and the history of Monterey. So the reason why we're no longer still doing that big fishing in this area, the reason why we now have shops and restaurants and no more sardine canneries, is because back in the day, we were fishing these sardines almost to near extinction. We were seeing dollar signs. We didn't realize that back then. We had to leave some left behind in the wild to continue to fish them for generations to come. And so if you're wondering why I'm mentioning this now, well, it's still important today, because that could potentially still happen in modern times with really common fish we see at restaurants and grocery stores. And so another show of hands, it looks like we have a labor sardine actually. There you go. We have a school again. Alright. Hopefully none of those big fish noticed. Alright, so show of hands. How many of you are seafood fans in the audience? Let's see those hands. Alright, those big numbers. Well, shame on all of you that are at an aquarium. I'm just seafood too in here. So for my seafood fans in the area, if you want to continue eating your meat, then I recommend sustainably. That'll make sure that your favorite seafood is here for a while. So I'm going to show you how you can do this. We've got a great program here that you're very close to watch.